Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dominoid and I've got a nice cup of tea and a game that drugs children. So yes, Endorfun, released in 1995 as one of the first games to be compatible with Windows 95 natively. It comes on a CD-ROM with both DOS and Windows versions, and it was one of the games that was being used to market the new operating system. However, it caused, you could say, a little bit of controversy. See, back at the time, there was a bit of a backlash against video games, as there is now. But what was generally cited as, again, is now, was adult themes, violence, guns, and shooting, and so on. Endorfun doesn't feature any of these. If you have a look at the screenshots here, it's a puzzle game. So, what's the problem exactly? It's just a puzzle game. Is there something harmful in the box, maybe? Is there a choking hazard in here? You've got a manual, most of it in a different language to ones that you speak. There's a little card here to register it with Warner Interactive Entertainment. I very much doubt that I'll be able to fill this in and send it off now and get any free things. And there is the disc box. The disc's not actually in there because I've already got it in my PC, but that's fine. You know what a CD looks like. It's just a standard CD-ROM with a definition of what Endorfun apparently means. So, Endorfun, non-chemical stimulation of the mind, inducing immense feeling of joy, happiness, and a higher level of consciousness. It's trademark of One Song Partners Inc., and it was published by Time Warner Interactive back in 1995. So, what was all the fuss about it? I'll let Randeep Ramesh of the Sunday Times explain what it was all about, as he wrote on the front page of the national newspaper, no less, on the 8th of October 1995. A computer game for children that uses subliminal messages to trigger a subconscious feel-good sensation is to go on sale in Britain next month. Parents, politicians and psychologists reacted with alarm yesterday, condemning the maker, Time Warner, as irresponsible and unethical. They're the publisher, not the maker. The game, called Endorfun, sends messages to the brain without the player knowing. Although the technique is banned on television and radio, computer games fall outside the legislation. Time Warner Interactive, the subsidiary of media giant Time Warner, openly boasts that the game lures players into a trance-like state. The audio messages, which cannot be consciously detected, include such statements as, "I expect pleasure and satisfaction," and "It's okay for me to have everything I want." The company hopes the innovation will help boost sales of the game as children tell friends of their positive feelings. Sales of computer games fell by 25% in Europe last year. That's probably not true. The game will sell for £24.99 for use on personal computers and about £40 on game consoles from next year. Endorfun, written by the programmer who produced the multi-million-selling game Tetris, no it isn't, is sort of a computerized Rubik's Cube. No it isn't. Accompanying it is a mesmerizing tribal soundtrack underneath which are 100 subliminal audio messages. Time Warner, which will aim the game primarily at teenagers, insists the messages are all positive phrases, but admits the game is highly addictive and may have drug-like qualities, but at least it's legal. That's in quotes. So, yeah, maybe they did say that. I mean, not that I'm anyone to suggest foul play, but could that have been in a press release designed to get them wound up? No, surely not. No, that would never happen. The messages include, "I am free of dependency. Today I expect the best. I can do anything, and I forgive myself completely." The company quotes Dr. Jeannie Graham Scott, an American sociologist, who found certain computer games stimulate the brain to release endorphins, the body's natural chemicals that relieve pain and produce a natural high. Howard Chevron, professor of psychology at the University of Michigan, said, "It does not pay to fool around with subliminal messages. The results may not be good if you are the wrong person for the wrong message." The Sunday Times tested the game on 9 children to see how quickly they became hooked. Didn't you say this game drugs children? So it's irresponsible and unethical. So they tested it on some children. Okay, right, okay, yes. So, yeah, that's what they did. Daniel James, 13, from North London, said he felt much better after playing the game. It's very relaxing, it has got great sound and graphics. Ganesh Ganamurthy, 14, said it's like a trance. Once you start playing, it is very difficult to stop. Under the 1990 Broadcasting Act, television and radio companies cannot produce programs or advertisements that exploit the possibility of influencing the mind of persons without them being fully aware of what has occurred. However, no such legislation exists to regulate the computer industry. The Entertainment and Leisure Software Publishers Association, the trade body whose members include Time Warner, Sega and Nintendo, said it had not heard of Endorfun. Steve Cheese, an executive assistant, said, "We would certainly enter into discussions with publishers who wanted to pursue this avenue, particularly if it has a detrimental effect on the industry."
Hello, Steve Cheese speaking. How can I help you? What's that? Endorfun. No, never heard of it, mate. What are they doing then? Really? Oh, that sounds like something they ought to have a bit of a chat with Cheesy about, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, especially if it might end up harming the industry, you know?
Yesterday there were calls for the game to be withdrawn before it reached the shops. Katie Ivans, the vice chairman for the Campaign for Real Education, said, "Recent research at Plymouth University shows that 1 in 4 children neglects homework to play computer games. This addictive entertainment is particularly undesirable as children prefer these games to reading and doing schoolwork." No shit, Sherlock. Elizabeth Newsom, professor of development psychology at Nottingham University, said, "I think it is deplorable. It makes it very difficult to use reason, and these messages could override your normal perception." David Shaw, Tory MP for Dover and a member of the Parliamentary Information and Technology Committee, said he would take up the issue with ministers and call for a code of conduct to be introduced. Time Warner should withdraw this. It is an entertainment company, not a medical one. What they're doing is changing people's feelings. It has ceased to be entertainment. So there we are. David Shaw has no emotional response to any kind of entertainment whatsoever. He never did that either. I checked through everything he did on Her Majesty's Stationery Office and found no reference to it at all. So yes, it affects your perception, apparently, says a famous psychologist. What are these terrible, terrible messages which affect your subconscious? Well, they're actually listed in the game's manual, and they contain things like, "I am safe." Shock. "My heart is filled with joy." Deplorable. "I am a winner." Well, that's just disgusting. "I want joy and expansion." Scandalous. "I create joyous thoughts." Well, quite frankly, I'm going to go and phone the church right now and warn them about this disgusting, disgusting game. Absolutely disgraceful.
This is the game that's causing alarm among parents. It includes more than 100 subliminal messages hidden in the music. The message, "I feel joyful now," is just one of those that the player hears subconsciously later in the game. Another one says, "It's okay for me to have anything I want." Subliminal messages are banned on television and radio, but the law doesn't cover computer games. The manufacturers say it is possible to switch the messages off, but parents who feel computer games are already antisocial enough say this new development is manipulative and sinister.
What they're trying to do is to affect the child's mind beneath the level of consciousness, and that seems to me an immoral thing to do.
So in all seriousness, Endorfun is just a charming little puzzle game. It was not released on consoles, despite the suggestion there from the newspaper. It actually was, as I understand it, planned for release on consoles in the UK, but never really did get that release because it just wasn't that popular. It was just Yeah, it was a nice, charming little puzzle game, but it's not really anything particularly unusual. Essentially, all you're doing is rolling a square around to try and match colours. It's kind of like Qbert, I suppose. Well, not really, no. I guess there's not really anything that I can compare it to. It's quite fun. It's entertaining for 10-20 minutes. Did I feel any different after playing it? No, not really. And I very much doubt that anybody would have felt that much different after playing it, other than the general relaxation you get from playing a slow-paced puzzle computer game. Just got some subliminal messages in the background. And, do you know, although subliminal messages were banned under the Broadcasting Act, they generally weren't used very much at that point. And there's a reason for that. It's because they don't flipping well work. They're absolutely functionless. And honestly, all of the psychiatrists and psychologists saying that anything untoward might happen from it, honestly, I don't believe them, quite frankly, because if it did work, then lots of places would be using it. It's just something for the media to get angry about, wasn't it? Let's be honest, it didn't do anything, it had no real function, it was just a way for Time Warner to make their game seem more controversial than it was. And fair play to them, they did a pretty good marketing job, and they really did get people riled up. It was on the BBC News, it was on the front cover of that Sunday Times article, it was on CNN, it was on, I'm sure it was on something like BBC Newsround as well. I remember seeing something about it at the time. Nobody remembers the game afterwards, though, because it just wasn't actually that memorable, other than the ridiculous media storm around it, which disappeared fairly shortly. Here's another one from the Seattle Times. The Seattle Times, they suggested video game raises concern about subliminal messages. First came the command, eat popcorn, flashed on the movie screen, too fast for the naked eye to see. It didn't make people eat popcorn. Then the pronouncement, it's okay for you to be relaxed. It's endless reprise and a self-help cassette tape masked by the lapping of waves. Those things also don't work. Now into the murky, quirky netherworld of the subliminal, where information is conveyed below the threshold of conscious perception, enter the video game Endorfun. They go on to state, messages purportedly embedded in heavy metal songs by Judas Priest and Ozzy Osbourne were blamed for the suicides of young listeners during two highly publicised trials in 1990. The evidence was deemed insufficient, but separately the judge in the Priest case ruled that subliminals are not protected by the First Amendment. So that didn't work either, and several grocery store chains have acknowledged playing Do Not Steal subliminals under music to discourage shoplifting, and oh, for crying out loud! It's just a game. It was just a cheap puzzle game that nobody really bothered playing anyway. Hats off to Time Warner Interactive. That was a brilliant piece of marketing by spreading all of the fear to get them some column inches. But realistically, we all know that subliminal messages don't do anything. And if they did, then really, what harm is telling somebody to be nice going to be in a subliminal message exactly? But either way, it sold papers, and it apparently didn't sell that many copies of the game because nobody else remembers it. But, you know, it served its purpose, so well done for that. What it does go to show, though, is that video games are always going to be the centre of attention and are always going to be blamed for anything bad by a certain type of person. As to what the real problems of society is, well, that is an entirely different video, and that's probably for somebody who is a lot better at philosophy than me to quote about. But let's be honest, this game didn't hurt anyone. So I've left the soundtrack on this video, so If you feel that you have been negatively affected by these subliminal messages in the background, then please do let me know down in the comments. Or if equally you think it's all a bunch of absolute hogwash, then also let me know down in the comments. Or just put a comment, because it helps me climb the algorithm. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider liking and subscribing. And as always, I do appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am strong.
I am strong. I choose life. I feel the magic of the universe.
I create miracles.
I have the power. I am beautiful.
I am ever expanding love.
Expect the best.
I am at peace.
Hello everyone, Steve Cheese here, just reminding you that winners don't do drugs. Apart from Lance Armstrong and that Greg Foster bloke or wherever he was. Oh, and all those Russians. Just stay safe, kids, alright? Can I have me money now? Cheese, you don't come cheap. That's for sure. Alright, show's over now. Fuck off.